Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to talk through Game 7, a game that seemed a ways away last week, but we are here. Game 7, the last game of the conference finals before we shift our attention to the NBA finals starting on Thursday. With me to break it down, as always, Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you?
Doing great. Really excited for this game. What a game 6. Hopefully we get another thriller because that was quite one of the best games. I mean, just the ending and the comeback and just what sports is all about, right? We love it.
Yeah, incredible Game 6 finish sets the stage for tonight. From an injury perspective tonight, as we've talked about kind of all series long, the Heat injury report is typically longer than the Boston injury report, as the Heat are more descriptive in their labels. So let's start there. Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo listed out. Gabe Vincent listed questionable with that left ankle sprain. Cody Zeller and Bam Adebayo listed available. Bam with shoulder discomfort and Zeller with the nasal fracture. So Gabe Vincent questionable tag played through the questionable tag in Game 6, played 41 minutes, more than we anticipated.
Mhm.
Struggled shooting around the rim, but shot the ball effectively from deep. Any concerns about this questionable tag tonight for Gabe Vincent?
No, he is definitely playing. Yeah, killed it in minutes. I did not think he's going to play that much. Just an A+ game from him. So yeah, I think he's going to play a bunch. 11 minutes of overlap with him and Kyle Lowry. Could be more because Lowry was not very good in the first half. So I think that there's a chance that A, Vincent plays more, and B, they run more overlap as well. So yeah, I feel pretty good that Gabe's going to be good to go. Other than him, losing his shoe, he had a look pretty mobile out there.
Yeah, he was even mobile with the shoe in his hand. Um, any notes on the available tags for Cody Zeller or Bam Adebayo?
Nah, just standard. If a guy's wearing a mask, people usually list him as available. The Bam shoulder thing's been weird. He's at the K tape, pretty standard there. So yeah, Bam played the whole second half, subbed up for 2 minutes. The 2 minutes of pain with Cody Zeller going -7, very costly run there. So yeah, we could see 48 out of Bam, right? They don't want to play these centers. They obviously don't want to play low. They don't want to play Zeller. So Bam's got definitely a 48 ceiling case. He had 28 rebounding chances. We just took a rebound over on him. Think he could play more zone, which we'll talk. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that because Miami's zone has been pretty effective in most of the games they've run it. Tatum's actually been terrible on zone over the course of the season, which is kind of odd. You think he'd be really good. It's maybe small sample, but yeah, expecting Bam to give all he can. Him and Jimmy both played full second half. I think that's the plan again. They're going to play full second half. Are they going to play full first half though?
Yep. All right, let's move to the Boston side of the injury report. Malcolm Brogdon listed questionable at shoot around this morning, got the expected to play tonight notes. Did not play in Game 6, has had his minutes kind of dwindling in prior games, of course, leaving Game 5 early. What are your thoughts on Malcolm Brogdon? This is expected to play tag for him. And what are your thoughts on his expectation for tonight, breaking into this rotation and potentially pushing things back to 8 for Boston?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got Brogdon sleeve watch, right? No sleeve at shoot around today. So that's kind of new. We saw 2, 3 sleeve, no, then one game no sleeve, and the sleeve was back on. So we'll see. Definitely expected him to be limited. He has not been very good, but this is a pretty encouraging sign. He's out there without a sleeve. He's definitely trying to figure out what's better for him. He's had some time off, and it's been limited. So, maybe it's kind of a wear and tear thing for him, but I think he's, got a chance to not blow away the minutes. So I think, like 24 is probably not possible because Smart's going to play a lot. Jalen, Tatum are going to play a lot. So it's just with Derek White playing as great as he's been, it's tough. Not only him having to play well enough to earn minutes, he has to play well enough to take minutes away from other people because they're just going to play so much. So pretty low expectations for me on Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see incorporating a player that has been hurt, missed time, been out of rhythm the whole series into a game 7 specifically feels challenging. We also had taken a Malcolm Brogdon under that had flashed really quickly and has been, beat down after we took it as a result. But it's interesting because if we were fully healthy coming into the series, you would think he'd be a great fit for this series, both with his defensive ability and also his ability to kind of break down the zone and challenge the basket. He's been a very good playoff performer much of his career. I think we've got him for like 14 minutes, something like that. I think the range is really wide here. I think under the best case scenarios, I think you're getting into the 20s. And the worst case scenarios, I think there's chances he doesn't even play or plays like very sparingly, like 4 to 6 minutes, something like that. So the ranges are really, really wide on Brogden. It'll be interesting to see how the DFS market is treating him from a showdown perspective. We'll talk about that more behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight. In terms of
timing
how
subs are, just want to add the timing of the subs are going to be pretty interesting. If it's a late first sub, that's pretty damning for Brogden. Just to add that, and I think they're going to be, which is kind of why we're taking the under position on him.
in terms of adding him into the rotation, who does that take minutes from? We saw White and Smart both get up to 42. Grant Williams at 22. Grant Williams has touched upper 20s at different points in this series. In some games that Brogden was even available. Sam Hauser got the 2 minutes. Assume those go away entirely. But who do you think is most impacted here, potentially to the downside, by the return of Malcolm Brogden for Boston?
Definitely takes the minute ceiling away from Grant Williams. I think that's probably number one. So I think that him getting upper 20s, assuming no foul trouble, is going to be tough. Because he's just can't. They don't need to. Like I just said, with Tatum and Brown playing a ton of minutes, and then low key, I think that there's a 95% chance that we see a double big. We don't see the double big lineup. We only saw 1 minute of it. It hasn't been very good. Hasn't been good all series. So Horford's going to start. Horford could play a lot. He's been picking up most of the minutes as Time Lord, who has been effective in his role. Should mention too, Time Lord also dinged up his wrist. We'll see on how he's affected there. But I think that Time Lord's minutes could be kind of light today with just the possibility of or likelihood of no overlap. So Grant, Time Lord, a little bit of Horford could be influenced there, and then maybe there's not as much ceiling to Derek White and Marcus Smart. But other than that, I don't think that the key players can be affected too much.
42 for Smart and White feels like the very tippy top of the spectrum now, with Brogdon kind of back in the mix. You mentioned Robert Williams. He is one of a few players that we have some concern or have seen injury related stuff too, right? He leaves to go to the locker room last game with the hand issue, ends up returning and was effective when he played through it, not listed on the injury report. Kyle Lowry, we speculated throughout the course of this series because he had grabbed it as growing earlier in the series that he may be impacted. Jimmy Butler looked like he did not have the same sort of lift and juice late in game 6, potentially just from playing 47 minutes, also potentially from playing all these minutes in the playoffs, also potentially a guy that's playing through stuff. So of those 3 players, any notes you wanted to add of the 3 players that are not listed on the injury report that we've highlighted things for during the course of the series?
Yeah, Jimmy doesn't look right. Doesn't have the burst. We saw Bam fall on him late in the game as well, so that obviously didn't affect him before, but could affect him here. Yeah, just a lot of miles on the tires here. Just not getting any lift. Not finishing around the basket. 4-14 on layups in his last 2 games. So it's hard to attribute the missed layups to health, right? It's just been very odd. So got some concerns. He would probably be my number 1 on how healthy is this dude. Should know Eric Spoelstra shot it down, so he's quote good to go for this game. But what else is he going to say? And wouldn't be surprised if we find out there's like a postseason surgery or something like that. But little concern on Jimmy. He's going to play a lot of minutes. I think that they're probably going into the saying he's going to play 48. So yeah, we'll see how he does. Jimmy's definitely a guy who digs deep and tough guy to bet against for sure. But a lot of the trends and the health and the lack of burst, the drive numbers coming down, the efficiency on drives coming down, everything's working against him. But it's Jimmy, so throw all these stats I throw out are irrelevant sometimes.
Any thoughts on Lowry or Time Lord in terms of their issues?
Yeah, I think Time Lord could be a little lighter, and just because I think that they're going to be there's a lot of zones, so I think they really want to lean into shooting, have as much shooting out there as they can. So I think that Horford could kind of run away, and then on top of that, you got the hand injury that could be affecting him there. Lowry looked terrible in the first half, and then had burst in the second half, kind of came out of nowhere. So, generally we've seen the last 3 of the 4 halves, he's been bad, like really bad. And then the 1 half, he was pretty good. So tough to read. The GOAT, the greatest Raptor of all time, definitely could have a big game but Gabe's gonna play a lot, so I don't think he's gonna play that many minutes. So I feel very confident Gabe's gonna play a lot.
Any other notes before we get out of here? I think, unfortunately, as you get deeper and deeper into the series, there's less really interesting stuff to talk about with rotations and stuff. We'll talk about the DFS game theory stuff behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern today. But any other notes before we take off?
No, just like I said, I'm interested in how much zone is played and how Boston can attack that. I think that's kind of where the edge is at, and I think there's some DFS edge that could be applied to that. And should just also note rotation wise, Duncan closed. I wouldn't be totally shocked. What other adjustments can you make, right? Play Bam all of them, play Jimmy all of them. You're capped out there. Maybe they're obviously starting Caleb again. Obviously starting Vincent, so maybe they pull Strus out just because they lost 3 games in a row in almost embarrassing fashion, if not for a big comeback. And so I think that there's an outside chance that that's an adjustment that could be in the cards, just because we know that it's all about adjustments. I think like if Steve Kerr was coaching, I would almost be confident that Duncan would be starting, right? But Spo doesn't like to be too aggressive on its adjustments.
Yeah, will be interesting. I would be surprised if they started Duncan Robinson.
Surprised, not shocked though.
Yeah, I wouldn't say shocked, but I'd put it at like greater than 90% that Strus is.
Oh wow, okay.
Playing. So yeah, I think. Look, there's just a lot of signs in this series. Duncan Robinson had 8 minutes going into the fourth quarter last game.
Yep.
There's a lot of signs they prefer Max Strus. I think a lot of those have to do with defensive things as opposed to offensive things. I think early in the game, it's going to be important from Miami's perspective to set a tone defensively. I think it's harder to do that with Duncan Robinson. Yeah. I think basically if they started Duncan Robinson, they're basically like playing zone from the start potentially, or very, very early. And I think that's also something that you might not want to you might want to mix in as like a tempo changer as opposed to giving a straightaway look at. So I would be really surprised. I wouldn't say shocked because I don't think it's like a sub 5%, but every indication has been that they would like Strus to play, and Strus hasn't played well, but they've given him every opportunity to. So we will see if that changes. And a lot of Duncan's great play in the series has also come, like he played really well last game. He's played really well in a lot of the games they've been down by like 18 to 20. Yeah. He's played well in garbage time. So I don't know. I think I think the Duncan roller coaster is one that Spo prefers off the bench personally. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. All right. As always, support the people who are supporting us. The show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money, in addition to many formats of NFL best ball contests, including Best Ball Mania 4 with $15 million in cash prizes. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em games. And if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at UnderdogFantasy.com. As I noted before, myself and Mike Gallagher will be behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern time tonight, breaking down the game theory and strategy around a Game 7 from a showdown perspective. It is more difficult as you get later into series to play these showdowns in a plus EV way. We'll talk about ways to do that on the show later today. For this injury show, we'll be back on Thursday, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, with another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis show. So make sure to tune in then. Of course, if you're uninterested in giving us your hard-earned clicks, we ask, or if you're uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we ask for your hard-earned clicks. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live, and of course, smash that like button and help feed that algorithm. It helps feed our families, and we'll keep feeding you the injury information analysis you need to make your spread bets, prop bets, and your DFS lineup. So feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you on Thursday. Take care, everybody.